Can you please put your hands together for our new recruits? Officers to be attested, please sit. And can I now please ask Mr. Hopkins, our Chief Constable, to say a few words of welcome. Sir.
Thank you, Clive. Good evening, everybody. It's really lovely to see you all here this evening. Just to let you know that we have 80 of our new colleagues being attested this evening, and that this ceremony is actually being broadcast live on Facebook, apparently. So we're trying that for the first time properly. Amazing surroundings here at Rochdale Town Hall. And I would like to welcome you all to what is a very special ceremony. It is a legally binding ceremony, as an oath has to be sworn by our new colleagues this evening. They have to do that in front of our magistrates to make that legally binding. So I'd like to thank our magistrates for this evening, Joan Cooper and Peter Rogerson. Peter has actually been a magistrate for 19 and a half years and sadly has to retire rather forcibly from the bench later this year, but I'll say a few more words about that a bit later. So you're both very welcome for all you do to support us on these occasions. It's also absolutely fantastic that we are joined by the Mayor of Rochdale, Mohammed Zaman, and the Mayoress, his daughter, Naraya. I'm really pleased that you are both able to join us, and also to thank you to Rochdale Council for allowing us to use these amazing facilities. It really is a superb place to be able to hold this evening's ceremony, and the best thing of all is the council have let us have it for free, so thank you very much for that. We have some other guests amongst us this evening. There are some of my colleagues who are senior representatives from each of the 10 districts across Greater Manchester. They'll be able to meet with their student officers afterwards and meet with family members as well. We also have the head of our special constabulary here, Mike Walmsley. Mike, it's great to see you here. We're planning in future that our special constables, when they're sworn in, will do it alongside their regular colleagues as well, which I think is an important step forward for us as part of being a team of Greater Manchester Police. The only difference being between specials and regular officers is all of those sat before you get paid. Our special constables do it for free and for the good of our communities. We have our head force chaplain here, Charles Nevin, who always supports us on these occasions. So it's great that you've been able to join us. Tonight, your loved ones, our colleagues, will swear an oath to be impartial and fair to everyone they deal with and to serve Her Majesty the Queen. And I know you can't see me because you've all got your backs to me, but you are taking an oath this evening that gives you unique powers over your fellow citizens to take away their liberty and, where necessary, use reasonable force. With this unique power comes unique responsibility and unique levels of scrutiny. And standing before your peers, families, and members of this community swearing the oath is something that is very powerful. And it's your commitment to each other and the public of Greater Manchester that you're dedicating yourself to a life of public service and the highest standards of integrity. It means you have to set the highest standards for yourself, both in your personal and your professional lives. Now, my new colleagues have a far more complex and challenging role than certainly I did when I joined the police service in January 1989. Back then, we had no such thing as DNA technology. Nobody had heard of a mobile telephone or 24-hour news, or let alone even thought of the internet. And now my new colleagues will find themselves dealing with crimes committed in cyberspace, where people are perhaps blackmailing somebody for money and using Bitcoin that doesn't even exist in a physical form. They will be dealing with victims that come from different parts of the world, and the offenders may be on a completely different continent. Policing continues to change dramatically, in many ways driven by technology that all of us carry around in our pockets. Some of our forensic expertise is having to really try and keep pace with that digital world because policing is changing so quickly. And I think the other thing that has changed for me massively is the scrutiny that police officers face in relation to their actions. In many ways, this is what you would expect, given the unique powers we do hold over fellow citizens. But you can be filmed and be instantly, that film can be around the world. And many may have seen this week the footage from Lancashire Constabulary where officers have been arresting a young woman. Not wishing to comment on the rights and wrongs of that particular incident, but to just highlight how something that seems so innocent when you're first deployed to it can be on the national news and be around the world in seconds. So what I say to my new colleagues is, please remember that in terms of your professionalism and the way that you conduct yourselves at all times. Now, whatever journey you've taken to join Greater Manchester Police, you are all part of our ambition to build the most effective team with the most talented people that we can attract from our many diverse communities across Greater Manchester. And when I was reading the small biographies and when I've met with a number of new colleagues, you can see the talent that we are attracting into the organisation and how they are far more reflective of the communities of Greater Manchester, and that's absolutely fantastic to see. Tonight is a significant moment in your police career and one you will always remember. And I want to take this opportunity to just remind you why policing is so important to society and what should drive you each and every day that you come to work. Now, all of us in this room are very privileged to live in a democratic society. And I believe that one of the fundamental pillars of a democratic society is that citizens should be safe, both from physical harm and from discrimination. And Greater Manchester Police's purpose is to protect society and to help keep people safe. And this is your purpose every single day that you come to work. You should do your utmost to carry out this purpose to the best of your ability. But I want you to go beyond that purpose. I want you to have the responsibility to improve Greater Manchester Police each and every day, to be better tomorrow than you were today, so that when you finally complete your service, you should be able to look back and say, I've done everything I can to leave Greater Manchester Police a better place than when I started in 2018. Put simply, you are the future of policing. Please don't waste that opportunity. So why are we here? Why are we in Rochdale Town Hall swearing in our new officers? Because you might have thought that we'd do it in one of our police establishments, and that would be the easy thing to do. But why I have taken to doing our attestation ceremonies in public places, such as tonight's, and moving it away from a police premises is for my new colleagues to swear their oath in a much more public setting. And actually the fact that it is being streamed live on Facebook reinforces that even further for me. Because I did want to reinforce with you that we are here to serve the communities of Greater Manchester. We are here to keep places like Rochdale Council, its staff, and the communities surrounding this building safe. That's what we're all here to do. Now, in my opinion, you have joined one of the best police services in the UK, if not the world. It's certainly one of the most challenging and one that will test your strength of character and your intellect regularly. And never really has this been more so than in the last 15 months, where we faced the largest terrorist attack that this country has seen since 7/7, numerous extremist protests, murders and community events. And only this summer, the impact of the World Cup, the fantastic weather that we had, and the visit of a certain president of the United States of America saw the demands on policing grow enormously, to such an extent that we were cancelling rest days and leave, and officers were having to work 12-hour shifts just to be able to manage to be able to respond to the many incidents that come to our attention. Of course, policing is also a risky occupation. We know that. We do our absolute best to keep your loved ones safe, to give them the equipment and the training to protect themselves. But sadly, on occasions, officers do get injured. And, you know, in the last few months, we've seen one of our sergeants assaulted quite badly with a samurai sword. But we've also seen some heroic acts from officers, not least one of our student officers here in Rochdale, who jumped into the river to save a man and has received national recognition for that. And I give you those examples and I talk about that because for you, as our new recruits, as our new colleagues, that's about you understanding what you need to achieve, the levels that you need to aspire to, and the professionalism that you need to demonstrate at all times. And I am sure that given the very tough selection processes that you have been through, you will rise to that challenge. What you can rely on, though, is that Greater Manchester Police is a team, and teams look after each other. So when you need help, guidance, or a shoulder to cry on, there will be somebody there to support you. Please don't forget that. I will end there for now, and I will come back at the end to say a few more words of thanks. But my final thought I wanted to leave my new colleagues with is have a fantastic career and be very proud of being a Greater Manchester Police officer. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. The new officers here tonight will be swearing an oath to Her Majesty the Queen. Could I therefore ask you to turn to page 3 in your booklet and stand to sing the national anthem. Thank you. Please be seated. Perhaps this would be the opportune moment to give a huge round of applause for the GMP band who've entertained us so far this evening. Thank you. Our new constables are now going to take their oath. Officers to be attested, please stand. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will well and truly serve the Queen in the office of Constable with fairness, integrity, diligence, and impartiality, upholding fundamental human rights, and according equal respect to all people, and that I will, to the best of my power, cause the peace to be kept and preserved, and prevent all offences against people and property, and that while I continue to hold the said office, I will, to the best of my skill and knowledge, discharge all the duties thereof, faithfully, according to law. Thank you. Please lower your hand and be seated. Could I now ask the magistrates to please take to the stage? I'll now invite our new officers to sign their memorandums of appointment in front of the magistrates. Can the following officers please come forward? Raja Akhtar, Samina Akhtar, Nicholas Andrews, Helen Bailey, Rachel Barnes, Stuart Briggs, Alex Clark, Hayley Cobb, Lee Collins, and Ellie Cook. So I've jotted down a few things that you may find interesting this evening, so that whilst all this is going on in front of you, I can give you a few pieces of information and tell you about the journey that tonight's attestees have embarked upon. Your attestee this evening is one of 500 new officers that Greater Manchester Police are taking on this year. Recruitment has been from both within the organisation and externally. All bring vital and varied skills to their role as an officer. 12 have been special constables and 15 have been police staff. 29 of them have a degree. 25 have done regular voluntary or charity work in their community. Many are multilingual. We have a qualified pilot amongst us, a snowboard instructor, and a driving instructor. And all of them have dreamt of being a police officer at some point in their lives. Can the following officers please come forward? Jennifer Colshed, John Davis, Anthony Deval, Jack Durwood, Thomas Dutson, Joshua Elford, Bridie Farrell, Liam Farrelly, Jacob Forrest, and Paul Foster. So I have a few more facts and figures for you, ladies and gentlemen. Greater Manchester Police is the second biggest police force outside of the metropolitan in the country. We currently have 6,182 regular officers, 350 special constabulary officers, 3,686 police staff, plus 644 police community support officers, 95 volunteers, and 387 cadets. Last year, our force dealt with around 33,000 burglaries, 17,000 shoplifting offences, 30,000 vehicle offences, 9,000 sexual offences, 37,000 domestic abuse incidents, 48,000 public order offences, 8,000 hate crime incidents, and 79 homicides. And that really just scratches the surface of what Greater Manchester Police deal with. We also deal with thousands of other crimes as well as neighbourhood and community issues. We aim to forge strong links with the community and with partner agencies, working together to reduce crime and help to improve people's lives. And can the following officers please come forward? Benjamin Foster, Chris Foraker, Francesca Gregory, Amy Guyver, Andrew Halliwell, Jack Hardy, Alexander Henderson, Victoria Hodgkiss, Christopher Hopkins, and Christopher Hurst. So I expect you want to know how your office is going to be able to deal with all the incidents that I've just read out. Well, the first thing that you need to know is that no officer is on their own. We are Team GMP, and we are a family. We all pull together and support each other. We start that on day one of training and continue that every day thereafter. The students are allocated a Student Officer Assessor Development Coordinator. A long title, but lots of good work that those people do, and some of them are in the room tonight, so it's good to see you. And they're responsible for the training, support and development during the students' time in the workplace over the first 2 years. Initial training is 20 weeks, and then the officers continue to be monitored and developed during the first 2 years, which is known as the probationary period. I think it's fair to say, though, that they'll continue to learn all the time that they're in the job, and professional development will play a key part in this. In the first few weeks of training, your officers will have an introduction to Greater Manchester Police and will see many guest speakers. They'll be taught communication skills and learn about human rights, the code of ethics and equality issues. They'll start their diploma in policing, and that can take up to 2 years to complete. Can the following officers please come forward? Imran Hussain, Emily Jackson, Emma Jones, Konstantin Karnow, Saad Khan, Nico Kleinhans, Danielle Croyne, Scott Lamont, Sam Lockley, and Vanesh Lua. As I said before, ladies and gentlemen, each student has a period of 2 years in which to complete initial training and then develop into their new role. A lot of the first 20 weeks is based in the classroom, but there are plenty of opportunities for the student to put into practice what they learn. This includes practical scenarios designed to test their decision-making and problem-solving skills. The officers will then go to their districts for 10 weeks with a tutor constable who is responsible for ensuring that they're ready for independent patrol. Then, after 10 weeks on their boroughs, experiencing working on the streets of Greater Manchester, they come back to the training school to work on a fictitious criminal case from start to finish. They'll take part in an exercise that will give them the opportunity to produce a prosecution case file from scratch. They gather evidence, compile statements and other necessary documentation before submitting the file for checking. The case is then taken to court, and on numerous occasions we have the help of Manchester law students and also our magistrates who sit on the bench in and around Greater Manchester very kindly help us out to give that element of realism. Now, can the following officers please come forward? Craig Maddox, Darren McGeehan, Robert Mason, Alex McPaulin, Matthew Monks, Adam Murray, Samuel Ogayemi, Sam Ogden, Fatuma Omar, and Peter Owen. So your officer will begin work on a local policing team within the districts that they're posted to. They'll be responding to incidents and also get involved in problem solving and working with partner agencies, voluntary organisations and people in the communities to help tackle repeat problems. Offences like antisocial behaviour and shoplifting are committed by a tiny percentage of the population in these communities. And many of these people are affected by drug or alcohol issues or mental ill health issues. Working effectively and efficiently with other agencies, the students will be able to help or play their part in helping everyone concerned. So in a nutshell, the role of your officer will be able to deal effectively with the 3 V's: the vulnerable, the victims, and the villains. They'll need to stay positive and to treat every person they meet with dignity and respect. Now can the following officers please come forward? Rhys Owens, Danielle Payne, Luke Pirrie, Simon Pym, Zaib Rahman, Liam Rennie, Alexander Robb, James Rowan, Alan Ryder, and Shazad Sadiq. They are very keen to get across the stage to see the Chief. So the types of things that our officers deal with are indeed very varied and can change every day. This is what happened on one particular 24-hour period from 7 a.m. Friday morning to 7 a.m. Saturday morning, just in the city centre. It's worth keeping in mind that this snapshot covers just 2.2 square miles. There were 109 calls to the police in total, and of those, 13 calls were about antisocial behaviour. In the city, this is quite often drunks causing problems. 12 related to incidents of violence. 5 were calls with about people with mental health issues. 5 were concerned for adult calls about rough sleepers and beggars. In that 24-hour period, 25 crimes were committed and 8 arrests were made. Can the following officers please come forward? Holly Sanders, Jamie Sanders, Tala Sang, Sabur Shafiq, Jack Simpson, Charles Smith, Jack Stevenson, Carl Stone, Kelvin Strudwick, and David Sweeney. So your officers have already spent some time on their districts, and our student coordinators looked after them for the week. And they were there to meet their teams that they were going to be working alongside and getting to know some of the key people in their communities. And community policing is increasingly at the heart of what we do. You may have read some stories in the newspapers recently about the brave and also the kind actions of officers. For example, PC Stu Otwell, who found two homeless men living under a bridge by the motorway services. He arranged for food to be donated and organised an appointment to help arrange more permanent accommodation for them. On another occasion, he popped into an elderly couple's home and had a cup of tea and a chat with them after they'd phoned the police to say that they were lonely. Whilst these instances are not exactly within the defined role of an officer, it gives an indication of the world that we live in and the problems that some of the people in our communities are facing. Can the following officers please come forward? Jake Swift, Scott Taylor, Ryan Timms, Gareth Turner, Mohammed Ullah, Stephanie Walsh, Lucy Ward, Stuart Whitaker, Thomas Williams, and Agata Wisniewska. So, I know what you're thinking. My officer is special. My officer will rise right to the top of the tree and take over from Mr. Hopkins as Chief Constable. Well, one of the officers here tonight, yours maybe, may well reach those heights. They will, of course, need to work hard, and they will need to be promoted through what are currently the 9 ranks in policing. Those being that of Constable, Sergeant, Inspector, Chief Inspector, Superintendent, Chief Superintendent, Assistant Chief Constable, Deputy Chief Constable, and if they work very hard and perhaps have a little bit of luck along the way and are as special as you think they are, your officer might just be the next Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police. And that concludes that part of the ceremony. So I'd now like to invite our Chief Constable Ian Hopkins to close tonight's proceedings.
Thank you, Clive. Before I say a few words more just about our new colleagues and this evening, I did want to recognise Peter Rogerson and his contribution to Greater Manchester Police. As I said at the beginning, Peter spent 19 and a half years as a magistrate, giving wonderful service to our communities, stepping forward and doing the training and then undertaking the role of a magistrate is a very important part of the criminal justice system. And we need people to volunteer, we need people to stick at it so that we have experienced people who are able to balance the evidence that they hear and to be able to make sound judgments. And Peter has done that with great enthusiasm for many, many years. But more importantly for all of us, for around about the last 8.5 years, Peter has helped us with our attestation ceremonies, not only for our regular officers, but for our special constables as well. And as I said, without our magistrates, we wouldn't be able to hold this evening, because this is the legally binding part that they have to witness as a justice of the peace. So I know, Peter, that you don't wish to retire from the magistrates' bench, and unfortunately the rules mean that Peter has to. But I wanted to recognise your time and your support and your energy and your commitment to us with a Chief Constable's special recognition that I have for you this evening. And it's fantastic that you've been joined by your wife, who didn't know any of this was going to be happening, but she's come along this evening to support Peter on his last occasion with GMP doing our ceremony. So Peter, many congratulations. So I hope you have got a great sense from this evening of the magnitude of the role that your loved ones are taking on, the part that they will play in society, the great importance that is placed on the role of policing, and the huge skill and professionalism that they will have to demonstrate as they deal with many challenging issues as they go through their career. One of the things that I wanted to point out was, it's very easy to think, because there's 80 new colleagues sat before us this evening, that all of a sudden we are getting lots of new police officers coming to join us in Greater Manchester. In fact, when I joined Greater Manchester Police in 2008, there was getting on for nearly 8,500 officers. And the then Chief Constable said that we needed 10,000 police officers to police Greater Manchester. Well, sadly, since 2010, we've seen nothing but reductions in the numbers, and we now have 6,200 police officers policing Greater Manchester. And because of the Mayor increasing the precept in this financial year, we will get an additional 50 over and above. So we'll go up to 6,250 by the end of this financial year. So effectively, everybody that you see sat before you this evening is replacing somebody that has retired from Greater Manchester Police this year. It's important that people understand that, because the pressure that communities are feeling around policing is really starting to tell. And I wanted you to know that, as welcome as all of our new colleagues are, we haven't suddenly got a box of new police officers that's going to make things much better. But what they are bringing is energy, enthusiasm, different ways of thinking that will absolutely contribute to Greater Manchester Police, and we're delighted to have them. I wanted to thank the awards team that are here this evening, and the trainers who have been looking after our new colleagues for the last few weeks and will continue to do so. Putting this on this evening isn't easy. The team have to work very hard to make sure that everybody's here at the right time, in the right place, looking the part. And so thank you to Wendy and the team, and thank you to all the trainers for all that you do too. I wanted to say a few words to all of you that are family members of those that have joined Greater Manchester Police this evening, because we do pride ourselves on the fact that we are a family, and you are now part of that family as well. It isn't just your loved one that has signed up. You've also signed up by proxy, by the way. And I make that point because, you know, there will be occasions when they come home and they don't want to speak to you. They'll have seen something, or they'll have dealt with something that has upset them or has traumatized them in some way, and they might not want to speak to you. Bear with them. There'll be times when they come home where sadly they may well have been assaulted and they might need some support. Bear with them and give them that support. There'll be times when they don't come home for their dinner, or they miss an important engagement, where they're not at parents' evening, or they're not at a family engagement, or they don't make it to the particular night out that you were planning because they've had to stay at work to deal with something in our communities. So bear with them. Your support is absolutely crucial to them giving their utmost and being the very best police officer that they can be. So I just wanted at this point, as they start out on their career as a warranted police officer, to say thank you for supporting them this far, and please continue to support them over the months and years that will follow. And if there is at any point a time when they need additional support, and therefore you do, there is lots of that available in the organisation, whether it's through our welfare team, whether it's through the Police Federation, or indeed, as the Reverend Charles Nevin is here tonight, from our chaplains. And we have a range of chaplains from all faiths, and they support colleagues that both have faith and that don't have faith, and they're part of that support mechanism, a very important part of it too. What I just wanted to say finally to my new colleagues is two things really. Policing is changing dramatically, and I touched on that a little bit at the beginning about technology, about some of the crimes that we're having to tackle, things like trafficking and modern slavery, which, you know, a few years ago nobody would have even mentioned. Cybercrime, fraud, all of those things that are meaning that policing is having to change rapidly. Along with the fact, as I pointed out, you know, there are fewer of us, and it will continue to evolve and it will continue to change. And, you know, when you go to your divisions and go to your police stations, there'll be some colleagues that will say, you know, it's changed forever. It's not like it used to be. The job's awful. They use stronger language than that, mind you, but the job's awful. Can I tell you, it has been ever thus. When I joined, it was thus. It's changed. We've got the Police and Criminal Evidence Act. That is awful. How on earth can we give people these sorts of rights when we arrest them? You know, it goes on. What I would say to you is, you're the future. You're the ones that are coming in that will be here in another 10, 20, 30, 40 years. It's changed. Move on. Move with the change. Shape it. Influence it. That's how policing continues to deliver a great service to the people of Greater Manchester. And I'll just end with this, really, that, you know, policing does give you the opportunity to do something very, very special. To make a difference to fellow citizens' lives. And not everybody that goes to work gets to do something that special. So please treasure that opportunity, make a difference, whilst being proud of representing Greater Manchester Police. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And that concludes the attestation ceremony for this evening. I'm sure you'd want to wish and congratulate each and every one of our new recruits. So let's give them one last round of applause.